These are results of faith.
My name is David, and I am 21 years old. I began to use drugs at the age of, I would say 14, 15. And it all started because I would feel alone. I would feel depressed. I had a family. It's not like I didn't have family. I had a family, brother, sister. My parents were together. But I would always feel like, they wouldn't listen to me or they were not there for me. I used to come to the Universal Church. And when I was a little kid, my aunt got invited by some people, and then my aunt invited my mom, and I started coming with them. And once I got older, I ended up going to the actual services, and I got inside of me, there was no interest in that. I was bored. I would fall asleep, and I was just like, I don't want to be here. So then I stopped, little by little, tell my parents, oh, I'll catch up to you guys at church. So I wouldn't go, and little by little, and then just set myself apart. And one of the main things was, my sister started consuming drugs. She would go out, she did all these things. I would judge her a lot. I'd be like, oh, you're an addict, you're this, you're that. And eventually I was like, but what do they feel? Why do they, they like that so much? And I decided to try it. And at the beginning I didn't like it, but I had, I wanted to feel like fit in. I wanted to fit in with them. So then I, kept trying and consuming, to a point where, I kind of got a little bit used to it and started liking it. I started with marijuana, then it led to alcohol and prescription pills, which is, something that I would, break down the pills and snort them or consume them. Then after that, I got introduced to coke.
I don't need no help, got it on my own.
Right there. You see it?
From there on, it was not a one-time thing. It became a habit, like an everyday time thing. And when I was smoking, I would not go to sleep if I didn't smoke. I would not wake up, I would not get out of my bed if I didn't smoke. I wouldn't eat if I didn't smoke. I would not go any places with friends if I didn't smoke. It was already a every 5-minute type of thing. So in order to, fulfill my addiction, I started selling drugs, started selling weed, and then lived from that, started selling the prescription pills. All my addictions I started selling because I made money, my God. My priority was, making money. I didn't care about, if I sold drugs to a little kid, if I sold drugs to one of my friend's mom. Guys that I knew that, they had kids, coke. So there was no sympathy in it. I was just did it for the money. And it just led me to, losing myself. Because at that stage, I was so involved with drugs, involved with moving weight, that I had people, seeking me because I owed them money. There was a shootout that was right in front of my house, and all my family was outside. And it was by, just the slightest hit that, my little brother didn't get hit by a bullet. My cousin's car got hit by every single bullet that was shot. It was very, very tough, It was that period of time that I was far from God. It was hell. It was like me living a life that was hell itself, because I wasn't happy. I also, always would be on Snapchat and record myself, showing off people, the money, showing people off, me smoking, being with friends at parties. But once I was done recording, my life wasn't what I was showing them. I would show that I was happy, but I wasn't happy. There was days that I would not go to sleep if I didn't drink myself, to sleep, or if I didn't smoke to sleep. And there was nights that I would cry myself to sleep because of the things that I was going through. I was lost. I didn't know what was the meaning of life. I didn't know what it was to feel, what it felt like being sober. It just slaved me. One of the reasons that I started coming to church is because my parents were praying for me. I never knew that they were praying for me. But my mom and my dad were doing those chains of prayers at church, at the Universal Church, and they didn't, physically they didn't see it, but spiritually they were defeating what was, destroying my life. One day I came to church, wanting to know what the Word of God was, I was so like into it, I'm like, I'm coming, I don't know if it was a Monday or if it was a Wednesday. I was like, I can't wait to see what God tells me. I want to see what God's gonna speak to me. And I got there and I just sat down and I fell asleep the whole service. And I left there mad. I just started crying afterwards. We went to go eat with my parents. I left crying because I was like, I don't know why is this happening. Now that I want to get to know His Word, I can't. And then my dad had told me, he's like, don't worry. It's a tough fight. I'm gonna tell you one of the things that I did. You're here because we put you in the altar. I'm like, what do you mean you put me in the altar? And that decision was one of the things that got God's attention, and God just started working inside of me. God started, that's when my mindset started changing. But I never knew they did that until later on. There was just starting to be changes in me that I never thought that I could make. Started opening up my eyes, started, speaking to my parents, little by little. And I started coming to church without them inviting me. I started, living that faith, placing my life in the altar day by day. And here I am, helping out the youths now and fighting for my salvation.